One of the things that I've been doing lately myself is taking two or three outfits and taking a look at them to see what type of funding they've been getting. And it is ridiculous what's going on when it comes to funding. The funders have some cheek to lambast ourselves and to pull ourselves up about funding, especially when you see what went into this place. They call it a cultural centre. Now, in itself, fair enough, it's a cultural centre in South Armagh, but that's not really what it is. It's a front for Republicans. And you'll see later on here where they talk about their tours and about their political tours and about how they made history and how they defeated the British. Funny, they never mention it, how they slaughtered the innocent victims within them communities, how they butchered them in the likes of the King's Mills and the Darkley Gospel Hall, where just the other night they ram raided the gates of that church and drove round it and then burned the car outside it. That's how much these people have moved on. Nothing has changed for them. That's just remembering, coming up to the anniversary date. They just wanted to remember the Protestants within that community. We haven't gone away. Now, unfortunately, there is people out there who think things are great and things have improved, and to a certain extent some things have improved, but a lot of things haven't. The whole idea behind this funding is to get rid of people like ourselves, because what they say in here is that the history lessons will be taught by the history makers. And who is that? They clearly stated here who it is. The Republican paramilitaries. That is who's going to write history. And that's why there's so much again what we're saying. Our story is one they don't want told, because they can't glorify and justify a dirty, stinking, murderous campaign that they run throughout Northern Ireland, not only in South Armagh. And I'll say this, policemen, irrespective of what anybody thinks of us or whatever, the policemen, the UDR, the soldiers who risked their lives to protect this community are being allowed to be demonised. Now, you will see Jerry Kelly speaking up saying how great they are in the centre. You'll see Martin McGuinness. You will see Jerry Adams saying about the great fighters they are in South Armagh. That's not the true story of South Armagh. If you go down onto our website and read about the people who's on the memorial that's built at this centre, you will see exactly who these people are. And I'll say this to our politicians. Are you going to allow Kelly, Adams, McGuinness and the Slab Murphys of this world and the John George Hugheses of this world to write history about what happened to our people, to our security forces, who through the whole thing kept their nerve and never started to retaliate the way that probably in any other country they would have done? They'd have went out and stopped these people in their cars and taken them out and dealt with them. Because when you meet a murderer on the road who you know maybe last night or maybe just a half an hour earlier had shot your friend, the restraint that them men and women showed is a credit to any country. And we will not sit back and allow them to demonise them people. What we're saying here is millions had been pumped into the centre in South Armagh. Millions. It wasn't a war. It was a dirty, stinking, murderous campaign carried out by these people. And Europe is funding them. Europe dares to come down here and challenge the innocent victims. Not because there's money missing, but because we mightn't have dotted the I's somewhere across the T's. That's why they're coming here. Well, we're going to make sure that things like this here are investigated. Let's see who dotted their I's and crossed their T's. Let's see who's putting money into the people who butchered and justified or tried to justify terrorism in this country. And how Europe fails, because we know the victims in Europe, in Spain, France, Italy and other parts of it as well, certainly would not support what's going on here as far as money going to terrorism. So we intend to raise this issue. We intend to bring it to Brussels and raise it. Your money, your peace money, It's not peace money, it's blood money. Because it's certainly not going to the victims who deserve it. The women who were left behind, the women who had to look after their farms and rear their families, or the people who were left for no legs in a wheelchair for the rest of their lives. You just don't care about them. You do not care about them. And Europe, this is the message I want to send to you. You may come here and you may give money to keep peace in Northern Ireland because you're paying off like the mafia. Well, the good people in Northern Ireland will not accept it any longer. The other thing I'd like to raise here too as well, they say we're political because we raise the issues of victims, the right for victims to have justice, because nobody else is doing it for us. In 30 odd years, people say to us, why do we say, keep bringing up what happened? Because for 30 odd years, nobody came to our doors to help us. So we make no apology for saying what we have to say, let it be to our own politicians, to the British politicians, and indeed the Irish politicians, and we'll certainly not make it to the tramps who butchered our people in the middle of the night. Not one UDR man was murdered in South Armagh while he wore his uniform. Not one local man was murdered while he wore his uniform. And then they tell us we're political when they're doing this here. A cultural centre that is spreading the word of the Republican movement. And they had their logos and everything on it. At Newry Mourne Council, a grant was proposed last Monday morning by William Burns of the DUP. A number of grants, and in that was a grant for this centre to do literature, for to put this political message out. Now, how more hypocritical can we be than the fact that they're actually getting money to print literature to tell us they are the history makers, whenever they were the widow makers?